Committee has been looking after the complete administration and international relations of the SCMS group of institutions. They include academic tie-ups with 7 top-class universities spread over Southeast Asia, South Asia, Europe, UK, and USA. He is also in charge of liaison with business corporations in India and abroad and ensures some of the top companies to cooperate with us in the applied aspects of academic development of the group. Former positions held by him include Chairperson of ACBSP Region 10, Member of ACBSP Marketing Committee, Member of CII Kerala State Council, Member of CII SR Education Excellence Forum Steering Committee, and Member of Higher Education Council Kerala Government. He is now the member of the Executive Board of AIMS. May I now invite Pramod sir for the presidential address. Over to you, sir.
Morning, everyone. Praveen Thomas Joseph, CEO of the Dubai Port Facility in Cochin, members of the board of CMS, principal, faculty members, heads of institutions of other schools, parents, and the batch of 2021. SCMS was established in 1976 by Dr. G.P.C. Nair, who was founder chairman of the group of institutions. Dr. G.P.C. Nair, both a business management and a mass communication professional, saw a dearth for trained talents in mass communication related programs and began correspondence courses in these areas. In a matter of few years, the courses were popular across the country and Middle East. In fact, contact classes were held every semester in 6 cities in the country and the Middle East. And the examinations were also conducted in different parts of the country and Middle East. Probably SCMS was one of the first institutions from the country to do it, to have contact classes abroad too. And the early 80s to the mid 80s saw the requirement for trained business management professionals. And he started 1-year courses in correspondence and full-time courses in Delhi, Trivandrum, and Cochin. And in 1994, with the opening up of the economic and a liberalized approach towards the education sector, he started the postgraduate diploma in business administration, which was approved by AICTT. The PGDM at the CMS was one among the first courses to be accredited by MBA in the year 2002 and has been reaccredited multiple times. SCMS Cochin School of Business was the second school in the country to be accredited by ACBSP US, which is a council that accredits business schools in 65 different countries. SCMS Cochin School of Business has also been ranked among the top schools in most of the business journal rankings and things like that. It was in 2003 that the SCMS School of Technology and Management was established. The school was affiliated to MG University, and it's a SSTM, as we call it in short. SSTM started by offering MBA, but later moved on to a biotechnology school, a computer application school, and over the last few years, we've been offering graduate programs in commerce, economics, and business administration, in addition to the biotechnology courses that we have. Your school, SSTM, is accredited by the NAC and MBA. And the vision of SSTM is to be a center of excellence in value-based management education. In this year, 2021 academic year, SSTM has bagged 11 ranks from over the various courses. The last 1.5 years has been really testing times for all of us. And even in this tough times, we have had 48 companies that visited the campus for recruitment. We have already placed 82% of the outgoing batch by May. The process still continues, and the average salary at for this batch, the 2021 pass out batch, is something like 3 lakhs to 12 lakhs is the bandwidth of the salary that has been offered. Another aspect that your school is in the forefront is alumni relations. When you are allotted a roll number and when you join the institution, then we will be connected to you forever. Till the COVID broke out, we used to have alumni meets in 6 cities in the country and the Middle East, wherein around 8 to 10 faculty members go to these cities to meet the alumni. That has been working very well, and there are many times we have had. I mean, in fact, you will be interacting with quite a few of them over the 2 years that you are here. Many of them are involved in delivery of courses. I mean, short ones who are experienced. Now, the other institutions of the SCMS group. In 2001, again, the Kerala government opened up the engineering education in the self-financing sector. And we were one of the first to establish the SCMS School of Engineering and Technology. The engineering school is also accredited by NAC and MBA. And it has all the facilities that are prescribed by the AICTT. Beyond that, we have a separate Fab Lab, a robotics lab, an AI research center. We're also setting up a center for drones. And we have been winning awards at the national level. AICTT has an annual innovation award this thing, and our engineering college has been winning awards consistently over the last 7 to 8 years. We also have an innovation award, innovation award that has been constituted to promote the culture of innovation among school and college children. It is called Dr. Pradeep P. Thevanur Innovation Awards. Dr. Pradeep P. Thevanur was our former vice chairman, and he was instrumental in leading the SCMS group and spreading its wings across national boundaries for over 2 decades. He left us for heavenly abode in 2014. The library, or we have the Dr. Pradeep P. Thevanur Memorial Learning Resource Center, as we call it, is a very unique library with some greenery all coming into the thing. It's probably one of its kind in the country, I would say. The engineering school has been ranked 72nd by India Today magazine among all the engineering colleges in the country. Now we have a water institute. It is probably only a water institute in the country which is in the private sector. The school was pioneered by Dr. Pradeep Thevanur, and it was his vision that we need to have a water institute because water is going to be the petrol of the future, is what people say. The Water Institute has active support from 2 German universities and 7 German companies. In fact, the Kerala government and the Kerala Water Authority constantly engages with the Water Institute for various studies and training programs, things like that. The Water Institute is also setting up a lab of the Danish Hydraulic Institute at the campus from this year. The SCMS School of Architecture. SCMS School of Architecture was established in 2014, and we have had 3 batches that have passed out. The UN Habitat is an initiative by UN to transform cities and human settlements, and SSA has been recognized as a UN Habitat partner institution. And then in 2015, in tune with the national agenda of skill development, SCMS Group established the College of Polytechnics. In spite of being a very young institution, we have been able to attract quite a few companies for recruitment of talents from this, which includes a Japanese company that has been recruiting for the last 3 years from the SCMS Polytechnic. So I think I've given you a brief overview of the SCMS group. Looking forward to seeing all of you at the earliest. We have not sure when it would, but looks like by November, most of the campuses will open up. As of now, we haven't got the order, but as soon as we have that, we look forward to all of you coming to the campus. All our campuses have been dead and silent for the last 1.5 years, and that is not how we wanted to be. I wish all of you the very best and looking forward to meeting all of you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for those kind words. Light and brightness have always been the eternal source for scattering positivity, prosperity, and motivation.
A lighted lamp stands for wisdom, intellect, and good works that symbolizes and manifests the new light that is going to be lit within each one of us as we enter the portals of this institution of learning. With the lighted lamp to start on an auspicious note, may I now invite our chief guest, Mr. Praveen Thomas Joseph, to deliver the inaugural address.
Mr. Praveen Thomas Joseph has a BTech degree in Mechanical Engineering and is a member of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, UK. He has more than 20 years of diverse experiences in logistics with focus on third-party logistics, ocean freight, general management, port and terminal management, liner shipping, air freight, customs clearance, and warehousing. He has worked with organizations like Aspen Wall and Company Limited, Penalpina World Transport, and DHL Global Forwarding in India and abroad. He currently is the CEO for DP World's International Container Transshipment Terminal at Cochin. Over to you, sir. Praveen, sir, hello.
Yes. Just want to confirm that I am visible as well as audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Thank you, Vikita. Professor Pramod Tevanur, Dr. Radha Tevanur, Dr. Shashi Kumar, Dr. Baiju Radhakrishnan, and all the rest of the management and the board of SCMS, the rest of the faculty, parents, and students. I would first like to say thank you for this invite. I consider it a real privilege to be given an opportunity to speak to all of you, and I'm extremely grateful for that. So first and foremost, I hope all of you and your near and dear ones have managed this far fairly safely through the pandemic. So it indeed has been one of the most challenging 18 months, not just for us in this part of the world, but for the whole in the whole history of mankind. So when Dr. Radhakrishnan and team were talking to me about attending and speaking at this inaugural session of the new batch of MBA students, I was saying that, I have not done an MBA myself. So today is probably the closest I've ever got to attending management school. And I have to say that you've got a very beautiful campus when I saw it through the virtual tour. So I feel a bit out of place amongst a group of people who are already either better educated than me or are going to be better educated than me in 2 years. So what I'm driving at is that all of you students are in a very privileged position compared to most others in the corporate world. So please make the best of it. So I will take the liberty, with your kind permission, to give you a very short brief about myself and possibly my company. So I'm a Keralite, educated mostly in Kerala, went through school and then studied mechanical engineering at the University of Kerala. A pure chance and circumstances got me my first job in the logistics industry close to 30 years back. So as you can see, I'm from a completely different generation. For some reason, I've stayed in the same industry for the past 30 years. So moving from one side of the table to another, working in different locations in India and abroad, which finally brought me back to Cochin after 25 years in my current role, which is as the CEO of the International Container Transshipment Terminal in Vallarpadam, run by DP World at the port of Cochin. So my wife, Sangeeta, teaches high school mathematics, and we have been blessed with 2 daughters who are at varying stages of their education. So DP World, earlier known as Dubai Ports, is a global organization headquartered in Dubai and is present in about 61 countries across all the 6 continents and employing more than 50,000 people. So DP World is mainly in the ports and container terminals business and is currently transforming itself into an end-to-end logistics service provider. DP World, among other things, also aims to alter the future of freight transportation in partnership with Sir Richard Branson's Virgin Hyperloop to create a service which delivers land-based freight at the speed of flight. So while wondering about what I should talk about today, which you might find even remotely interesting, I thought I may touch upon a few things. One is maybe about the pandemic and its impact on business in the world in general. Number 2, the role logistics plays in today's world. And lastly, and very humbly, any insights I could possibly give you from my experience and work and also life in general. So talking about how the pandemic has changed and is continuing to shape the future of work. So maybe I could begin by telling you about our own experience at ICTT. So we were in a unique and delicate position of having to continue to operate as an essential service provider in the midst of one of the strictest lockdowns anywhere in the world. So we incidentally happen to be the only major port and container terminal in the state of Kerala, and therefore the only gateway for goods traveling by water into Kerala and parts of southern India. So I'm happy to say that we managed to operate uninterrupted through the last 18 months of the pandemic without a single hour of operations being lost. We thereby enabled essential goods like food supplies to enter the state at a very crucial time when all other modes of transport like road and rail stopped operating. So therefore, after the first lockdown, when there was a resurgence of business, we were probably best positioned to take advantage of it, as the trading community of South India maybe saw us as the most resilient port. So in 2021, in this year, we are now poised to have probably our best ever year in the history of our company, any unforeseen challenges notwithstanding. So what has been some of our key learnings from this period? So one of the biggest learnings is that even in the worst of crisis, you need to have a plan. Planning is pivotal. So if you don't plan, you will be trying to put out multiple fires at the same time instead of one. The second learning has been about communication. So we often hear communicate, 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 and that was proven true. Often the human tendency is to reduce communication when the going is not good. But we found that it's even more important to communicate to your customers when things are not going so well. Because if you don't do that, they will imagine the worst and they will go elsewhere. The third learning was, sure, a learning for everybody, including you, was working from home, working from anywhere, flexi timing, and the possibilities around them. That was a revelation. So we realized that it's not super important for employees to clock in and clock out at fixed times, as long as they're able to perform their functions well from anywhere. So for an IT company, this may have been a walk in the park. But for an organization like ours, where a lot of our activities are physical and on the ground, this was indeed an eye-opener and perhaps the greatest learning. And the last one was about automation. So in my experience, business, especially the ones with a legacy of low productivity, stonewalls automation due to various reasons: resistance to change, vested interests, etc., despite knowing its obvious advantages. So in a crisis during the pandemic, these objections were practically bulldozed. And we managed to implement a lot of automation. So it made us think, do we really need to have a crisis every time we want to bring meaningful change and improvement to our business processes? So now, if one were to look at the larger picture beyond my own industry and look at what has been the learnings globally, The Economist magazine reports that before the pandemic, Americans spent about 5% of their work time working from home. And by spring 2020, the figure was about 60%. So the shift to a hybrid world of work has surely happened. Hybrid world of work, wherein the clear lines between home and office have been blurred. So research points out that after the pandemic, the average employee would like to work from home nearly half the time. So this shift seems to have gone much better than expected. People are surely working longer hours, but they report higher levels of happiness and productivity. The office has become a hub and not a second home as in the past. It seems to be the best thing that ever happened to employee engagement, by the way. It actually forced organizations to pay more attention to their staff. Also, if hybrid work is here to stay, the laws surrounding employment will need to be modernized. After all, the current laws of employment are largely based on the assumption that work takes place at an office or a factory. So even before the pandemic, we already have the gig economy, which has shown that current employment laws are out of date. So there are new questions, uncomfortable questions arising, like, can firms monitor remote workers to assess their productivity? Who's liable if employees injure themselves at home? Blue-collar workers may feel resentment that only white-collar workers get to work from home, and so on and so forth. So here it may be relevant to ask, what does this mean for the field of education? So do all of you really need to be at your institute daily to complete your learning? So I spoke about automation earlier in my industry, and the pandemic has definitely accelerated the pace of automation without a doubt. The study done by Oxford University as far back as 2013 concluded that about 50% of the jobs, at least in OECD countries, would be automated in 20 years. That is about 10 years from now. That timeline would certainly now shrink because of the pandemic, and maybe we will see these changes in the next 5 years. And we, including all of you, need to prepare for that. So much about the pandemic, and now I'd like to move on to another topic which is closer to my heart, which is the role of logistics in today's world. So for someone who has spent his whole career in this field, I felt a bit odd yesterday when I started searching for the latest definitions of the term logistics. So the Oxford Dictionary seems to have 3 definitions. The first one says the activity of organizing the movement, equipment, and accommodation of troops. So this seems to be the earliest definition, which had its origins in the military. The second one says the commercial activity of transporting goods to customers. And the third definition of logistics, which seems to be the one closest to reality in today's world, goes like this. It is the detailed organization and implementation of a complex operation. So the United Nations Council for Trade and Development's latest figures give the GDP of the whole world as 85 trillion US dollars. That's all 195 odd countries put together. Global trade, more precisely the global merchandise exports, excluding service exports, is reported as 19 trillion US dollars. So simply put, the global logistics industry has the responsibility of moving this 19 trillion US dollars worth of goods between countries. So it is a mind-boggling figure, but not a fact which enjoys enough awareness. So this is an industry, logistics is an industry which is taken so much for granted that quite often it comes into the limelight only when things go wrong. So Dr. Radha referred to the Suez Canal incident. So back in March 2021, for the best part of a week, the Suez Canal, which is the main artery for the movement of goods by sea between Asia and Europe, was blocked by a 200,000-ton giant. So many of you, I'm sure, have read this in the media. So the giant was called the Ever Given, one of the world's biggest container ships. So transiting the Suez Canal saves a 3-week detour around Africa. But the canal is narrow. It's only about 200 meters wide in parts and just about 24 meters deep. Modern ships, by contrast, are massive and getting bigger. The Ever Given, the ship the Ever Given, is about 400 meters long and nearly 60 meters wide, and which is as wide as maybe a city block in Manhattan, or almost as long as the Empire State Building is high. So the ship was en route from Malaysia to the Netherlands, and it was loaded with about 17,600 brightly colored containers. So what were these containers carrying? You consider almost every item within 10 feet of you right now, where you're sitting, wherever you're sitting right now. Shoes, furniture, toys, pens, phones, computers, all of them were in those containers. The Suez Canal is the essential link between the East and the West. And today, about 19,000 ships pass through the canal every year, loaded with more than 1 billion tons of goods. A prolonged closure of the canal risks a cascade of delays, and that would be felt in day-to-day commerce by millions of people, if not billions, for months. So this is just one example, and I can talk for hours on what else the industry does, but that is probably for another time. So I'm using this platform today to invite all of you to consider the logistics industry as one of your career choices. We spoke about automation before and the jobs which will disappear as a result. But no matter what, we will still need to move goods from point A to point B, 3D printing notwithstanding. So logistics as an industry will still survive. And so I've been given 15 minutes. I think I'm getting close to my time. So before I close, I would like to leave you with some thoughts from my own experiences in life in general, and with all humility. My first advice to you is get out of your comfort zone. In learning, in work, and life in general. It's the surest way to get better at what you do and what you are as a person. In today's world, it sounds cliche to talk about work-life balance, but I will say that somehow your professional growth is linked to your personal life. If these are not in sync, at some point you will get called out. So please be aware of that, and you might have a heavy price to pay for it if both these things do not go hand in hand. So the next one on my list is something where I'm still learning every day. Therefore, I'm not qualified to give you any advice on it, and therefore I will quote Steve Jobs. As you may have read, Jobs founded Apple and at some point got fired by his own company. So he had this to say about that experience. He said, I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. So like many others, and I'm sure a lot of you, I'm a big fan of the late Steve Jobs. And so I will leave you with another quote from the legend, from his Stanford commencement address. He said, your time in this world is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the result of other people's thinking. Don't let others' opinion drown out your inner voice. Don't forget to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. And finally, I will leave you with what is, I promise, my final quote. It's an excerpt from a poem which is very close to my heart, and it's called, I Hope You Dance. So it goes like this. I hope you dance. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. When you're coming close to selling out, please reconsider. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. And now, as you enter an important phase in your life, that is what I wish for you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir, for your motivating and inspiring words. After hearing your experiences, you seem to be the right person to inaugurate our MBA Batch 19 course today. Thank you so much, sir.
Let us now listen to a few words of gratitude from Dr. G. Shashikumar, Principal of SSDM. Dr. G. Shashikumar is the Principal of SCMS School of Technology and Management, a PhD holder from Kerala University. He has held several top positions in Keltron at Mumbai and Trivandrum. He was a project advisor, Entrepreneurship Development Cell, University of Kerala. Prior to joining SCMS, he was the director of Cooperative College of Management and Technology, Trivandrum. Over to you, sir.
Sir, you're on mute, sir.
Good morning, all of you. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Praveen Thomas Joseph, CEO, DP World, Cochin. Professor Pramod B. Thevenur, Vice Chairman, SCMS Group. Dr. Radha P. Thevenur, Registrar and Group Director, SCMS Group. Other Group Directors, Mr. Anil Kumar, Chairperson of SCMS Cochin School of Business, Heads of Institutions, Dr. Susan Abraham, Head of the Department of MBA, my faculty colleagues, students and parents of MBA Batch 2021. Welcome to the world of opportunities. It is indeed my privilege to propose the vote of thanks to the distinguished dignitaries of the inaugural function. First and foremost, on behalf of SCM School of Technology and Management, I must thank Mr. Praveen Thomas Joseph, CEO of DP World Cochin, for inaugurating the 2021 batch of the MBA program. Your words have totally inspired us. You have also informed us the scope of logistics management. You also gave us a vivid picture of the mishap that happened at the Suez Canal. You have also told us as to how to become a successful person. Your words have totally inspired us and the students. Thank you, sir, for your valuable presence for the inaugural function. I take this opportunity to thank Professor Pramod P. Thevenur, Vice Chairman, who graced us with his presence and guidance and sharing with us the SCMS in its own league, the legacy story. Thank you, sir, for your valuable guidance. Dr. Radha P. Thevenur, Registrar and Group Director, has been a constant support to all of us by giving timely guidance in all our activities, be it academic or be it co-curricular. Thank you, Madam, for your inspiring welcome speech. Our group directors, Dr. Indu Nair, Mr. Gopakumar, and Mr. Baiju Radhakrishnan, are always with us in supporting the department in all the activities. I must mention here, I must thank Dr. Baiju Radhakrishnan, who is instrumental for inviting Mr. Praveen Thomas Joseph for the inaugural function. Now I must thank Dr. Susan Abraham and her team for their constant support in making this program a success. My thanks are due to Dr. Fatima Cross and Ms. Renu Jayaprakash for their valuable support and guidance to the students for the successful conduct of the MBA inaugural function. I must also thank the admissions department, the senior students of MBA Batch 18, the administrative and support staff for their valuable contribution to the function and making it a success. Last but not the least, the students and their parents. I must tell you that you have helped us in carrying out this virtual function with your valuable presence. Once again, I thank you all of you for being present here this morning for the inaugural function. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.